There's been a murder, I do declare. Knives Out, Rian Johnson. We're going to talk about it. Sides of coins. And it starts right now. Yeah, man, this was good. I enjoyed this a lot. But so let's get into it. So Rian Johnson, a man whose name has been circulating around the internet as of late, since he directed a little Star Wars movie called The Last Jedi. Everyone loved it. It was cool. Everybody. I've never seen a fandom come together more than I did around The Last Jedi. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic. It's been a rough couple of years, and so when Rian Johnson announced he was directing a whodunnit, I was excited about it. Take a bit of the attention away from all this Star Wars nonsense and sort of get back to potentially his strengths, which are, inventive storytelling and doing things in an unorthodox style, and just making good, interesting movies. And that's what I've always enjoyed from his work, and Knives Out really holds up. So the Knives Out, really, it's a whodunit. It's a murder mystery. It's set in this sort of a creepy old house, sort of Clue style, and it's a very self-aware movie. They mock a lot of the tropes, within this movie already. So it's got a really neat cast. You got Daniel Craig as the lead. He's got a very thick Southern accent that really reminded me. This movie is basically like if Rian Johnson was watching The Office and he saw that episode with Caleb Crawdad and they're doing the murder mystery. He watched that and he was like, "Oh, that'd be a great movie," and then he made a whole movie off of it. But anyway, Daniel Craig, he did a great job. His performance was stellar. I really thought, how is this accent gonna work? Because it's rough. You watch it, you're like, how is he going to stick to this? Is he going to be able to pull it off? But he does. And it's amazing. I really liked Daniel Craig in this movie a lot. And again, the self-awareness of it. I mean, it's a joke that's in the trailer, so it's not really spoiling anything. Chris Evans at one point, he's like the smart aleck character. And so he says, CSI KFC. So, mocking Daniel Craig's character. So obviously that's a good taste of the self-aware sort of jokes that it makes at its own expense. Very enjoyable. The cast elsewhere, seeing Chris Evans sort of get away from his image as Captain America and kind of playing this sort of punk, I guess, is the vibe he gives off in the trailers. Sort of entitled. Every character in this movie is very they're very different and they're very unique. And they're all kind of people you've met before. Like I don't know. It was interesting. I liked seeing all these different characters. There's everyone from, there's some political undertones to a lot of them, or not even undertones. They're just very blatantly political. It has this vibe of a awkward Thanksgiving, and it came out on Thanksgiving, so that was fitting because they're all sat around. There's the inevitable political conversation, and everybody's wrong in this conversation, no matter what side you're on, and people are getting offended at it, that they think it's too heavy-handed. I don't argue that it's pretty heavy-handed, the political conversations that happen in this movie, but I think they're just so hilarious because what family conversation that has a political bend to it isn't heavy-handed and overdone? You've got the uncle that thinks he knows everything and the college student that thinks she knows everything, and they argue and they get at it, and neither of them are right. So it was funny, and I enjoyed the character side of this movie a lot as well. What Rian Johnson does a lot is he likes to subvert expectations and really change up sort of what you would expect to happen throughout the movie. So he does that in this as well. Again, not spoiling anything, but the way he sets out this movie, he gives you a lot of information right away. You really, like usually they give you breadcrumbs and you piece together the whole picture eventually and you come to a conclusion. This one, he gives you the vast majority of the information as to what happened and how you think this event played out right away. And so, you're trying to figure out if something doesn't quite add up the rest of the time. And so the rest of the movie, the lion's share of the film is trying to figure out what's missing. Everything seems to make sense, but there's some element that just isn't quite falling into place. And so that's the job of Daniel Craig's character, and trying to figure that all out. The other standout performance aside from Chris Evans and Daniel Craig is Ana de Armas. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I hope so. I haven't seen her in anything else. She played Marta, who was the nurse of Christopher Plummer's character, the man who ends up dying, setting off all of these events. She plays his nurse, and she did such a great job. So much emotion, and just so believable in her role. Dealing with the family dynamic, dealing with all these people that are, all these elites and all this money, and being on the outside looking into that. Just her heart, the way she was portrayed in the movie, her motives. Just very, very well done. I'm really excited to see her in more roles in the future, because she did a great job. I really can't say enough. I enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's a great one for if you're having a rainy day and you want to watch something, with the family or whatever. It's a great movie for a nice evening. There's not it's a nice break from the type of movies I like to watch. I'm very invested in Star Wars and Game of Thrones and all these series that are they keep going on and on and on. And there's such a grandiose story to tell. It's nice to just watch a movie, self-contained, really well done, great acting, great performances, great story, and then it's done. You think about it, you talk about it for a little bit, and then you move on. I really enjoyed this movie. It wasn't too smart for itself. It really knew what it was, and it did a very, very good job. Now that leads me into, I guess, the more controversial bit of the episode. I cannot wait for Rian Johnson to make another Star Wars movie. I liked The Last Jedi. It's not perfect. I should really make a video talking about what I like and dislike about that, just so it's on record. But not a perfect movie, but I did overall very much enjoy it, and I know that's not an opinion that's shared universally. I can't wait for him to... I hope he gets this rumored trilogy that he's going to have, because it'll give him an opportunity to show what he's got outside of the standard sort of Star Wars Skywalker saga. He'll get to be more inventive, because Looper, Brick, and now Knives Out, they're such great stories, and they're so inventive with the way they tell this story and the way they use their characters and develop their characters. I really hope that he gets to do this in Star Wars, in my favorite universe, and see where we go. But now that I've said that, I always say let's talk about it in the comments. So let's see what we get going there. This is a good one. I would say go check this out. No matter how you felt about The Last Jedi, Knives Out, Rian Johnson. Let me know what you thought, and let's have a conversation in the comments. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure this will go well. Everyone loves The Last Jedi. It's great. Porgs.